Hey there, everyone. Ervin here, and today we're going to be talking about the PLAS-1 Scorcher in Helldivers 2. This weapon was once the absolute best weapon against automatons with no questions asked. But with other competitive options being buffed over time, such as the Diligence Counter Sniper, the Jar, and even the Plasma Punisher, the Scorcher's lost some of its appeal in comparison for most. Well, let's take a look at its technical specifications, target effectiveness, and damage breakpoints to find out just how good it is in comparison. As is the case with all my videos, note that all thoughts and opinions on viability are derived entirely from playing Difficulty 9 Helldive, as I aim to give you the best possible representation of how these weapons hold up in the endgame. First, let's take an in depth look at all of its stats and technical specifications. The Scorcher, being a plasma weapon in the energy category, carries an explosive AoE as its endpoint and cannot ricochet off of targets, even if the ballistic component of the shot may still deal 0 damage. This explosive radius is 3 meters in size, with an inner 1 meter radius that deals the full 100 explosive damage, and an outer 2 meters around it that deals between 99 to 1 explosive damage. So basically, don't expect very many AoE kills with the Scorcher, unlike its big brother, the Plasma Punisher, or the recently laid to rest Eruptor. This is still a large enough area you should be careful about firing it off at point blank, though, as while the damage will not be lethal, you will be significantly injured. This can be used as a bit of an advantage when you want to quickly traverse the map, however, as you can purposefully injure yourself with the edge of the blast for some modest damage, allowing the use of a stim when you need the stamina on demand. The full damage of the Plasma Scorcher is 100 ballistic damage in the form of the projectile, accompanied by 100 explosive damage for a total of 200. But as we've covered recently in my video titled How Damage Works in Helldivers 2, that's not the full story, as many enemies have parts with durability percentage. The durability damage of the Scorcher is 50, and if you want to know exactly how that factors into things, I recommend checking out my previous video, as it was a full discussion all on its own. The explosive component is unaffected by durable parts, though, as explosives always deal their full, unaltered damage regardless of durability. Overall, for most targets, the 200 total damage meets some pretty good breakpoints and does not often disappoint, making it feel solid to fire into most targets, especially considering its armor penetration values. That is, however, not where the story ends, as most weapons in Helldivers 2 experience damage fall off when firing at any ranges beyond the barrel being planted firmly in the enemy. The Scorcher is no exception, losing 26 points of damage from its ballistic side by the time the projectile has traveled 100 meters, gradually falling off up to and beyond that point for just a general frame of reference. The explosive damage never experiences fall off, instead, adhering to the rules of its radius that I've already detailed. But basically, expect the breakpoints we discuss later to require an extra shot at times when firing beyond 30 meters or so due to this fall off. If you're wondering how this measures up to other weapons, though, this is quite a lot of fall off for a DMR style rifle, as the Jar 5's microjets experience no fall off at all, and the Diligence Counter Sniper only an 8% loss at 100 meters, making this rifle more ideal for close to medium range engagements as a result. Which is fine, because when you think about it, that's where most fights happen in Helldivers 2 realistically. The ballistic component of the Scorcher is Class 2 penetration, meaning it does half damage against light armor and no damage against medium, which is a bit unexciting. However, the explosion is Class 3 penetration, dealing half damage to medium armor and full damage to light armor, only stopped by light vehicle or Class 4 and above armor levels. This becomes very relevant when you realize that explosive damage is always dealt directly to the total health pool of the target, which is typically the torso, and several total health pools armor levels can be lighter than they appear in regards to explosions. This is why we see the Devastator taken down in a reasonable number of body shots by the Scorcher, despite it dealing no ballistic damage through the plate, as a Class 3 explosive 100 damage is penetrating that interior Class 2 armored body underneath the plating for full damage. This can be a double edged sword and makes explosives very tricky when it comes to breakpoints, but we'll talk more on that later. Overall, with its 250 RPM, this provides us a theoretical DPS of 833, assuming all of the damage is being dealt to the same body part, which this happens more rarely than you would think. And 512 with reloading in consideration. This gives it the sixth highest DPS out of any primary currently in Helldivers 2, which is a very respectable position as far as raw firepower is concerned. The demolition force, another hidden statistic Arrowhead tells you not to worry about, is yet another statistic that determines if a weapon can or cannot destroy an enemy spawner. The Scorcher has only 10 demolition force on its explosion, so it's unfortunately unable to do this. The Eruptor, at 20 demolition force, is however able to do so if you were curious about what numbers look like whenever it can occur. Stagger wise, the Scorcher is not capable of much more than a flinch, with its ballistic component causing only 20 points of stagger and its explosion causing only 10. You won't see many attacks interrupted in a significant way as a result, meaning we'll have to deal with evading enemy attacks and trading more often than is always going to be comfortable. The Scorcher's handling and ergonomics are extremely solid, sporting only a modest 20 recoil as well as a responsive level of handling. The meager 1 times red dot is pretty disappointing for a weapon that carries itself as a plasma-based marksman rifle, but the reload speed is also a fixed 2.5 seconds, which is quite low due to being loaded with double D batteries instead of a traditional magazine, meaning there is no difference in reloading on one from empty outside of wasting ammunition, as it's incapable of saving a round in the chamber. Overall, pretty solid feeling weapon in this respect despite this. Speaking of its D batteries, the Scorcher's capacity is a California compliant 15 rounds, which is not exciting. But as Helldivers 2 is no stranger to underwhelming magazine sizes, this fits right in. You receive 3 spares without Hellpod optimization and 6 while running the booster, bringing our total shots up to a meager 105. So it's not difficult to run low here often, unfortunately, with the bizarre explosive damage splitting rules in play, especially if you decide to run this weapon against Terminids, where the breakpoints, as you'll see, are sometimes less than ideal. On the bright side, however, you do get your full 6 batteries back from a resupply and 3 batteries back from field crates, allowing you to supplement your underwhelming ammo total in the field pretty adequately. Raw damage wise, this also brings us to a theoretical total of 3,000 damage done per battery and 21,000 damage done by the time we run empty. As a fun statistic, this makes it number 12 on the list of primaries in the category of damage done before empty, which doesn't mean much in practice, but I thought it'd be fun to include this little bit. The Scorcher sports a nearly inaudible 10-meter firing sound profile and a mute ending sound profile. By this I mean the point of origin where you pull the trigger can be heard and reacted to by the enemy within 10 meters of your position, while enemies will not be alerted to or attracted to where the projectile lands, making it a fantastic primary option for stealth gameplay as a result. If this doesn't mean much to you, I recommend checking out my stealth content, as I get very in depth very often about all of the stealth based mechanics. Alright, that does it for our technical specifications. Getting into those damage breakpoints now, let's talk about the automatons first, as this is where the Scorcher shines brightest by far. For all light bots, the Scorcher deals enough damage to eliminate them in one hit to anywhere on the body. At least most of the time. Every once in a while, there will miraculously be a surviving target, so best to just get in the habit of double tapping these to be safe. Handles them fairly well, all things considered, though. Devastators are the original reason the Scorcher saw widespread use before other weapons were buffed. The Scorcher deals with them in 2 headshots, 5 stomach shots, 5 leg shots, or 8 shots to the upper body. For the sake of consistency in the midst of combat, nothing wrong with abusing the leg meta here or firing for that stomach area. Scout Strider's explosive resistance buff now sees them survive up to 4 hits to the front plate, 3 hits to the upper leg, or 4 hits to the joints. If that sounds strange, it's because the explosion only hits the driver directly aiming at the front plate, which brings the Strider down as a result. So aim for the guy behind the plate always. Berserkers can be a bit tough for the Scorcher, requiring 2 headshots, 5 stomach shots, or 5 leg shots. This can drain ammo pretty rapidly, taking on packs. As the Scorcher has no stagger, it can feel a bit overwhelming at times fighting groups of these. Tanks and cannon turrets can be eliminated by the Scorcher in 15 hits to the heat sink. One blast from the queso cannon, or recoilless or eats, can also put these targets one shot away with the Scorcher from being eliminated, which is a very comfortable fast swap, if I'm being honest. Hulks are impervious to damage from the Scorcher everywhere but their back heatsink, as you would expect. This can be destroyed in as little as 6 hits from the Scorcher, making them a pretty feasible target for it when you can get the angle to do so. Gunships are not a bad target for the Scorcher, considering it's just a primary. The Scorcher can destroy a gunship with 14 hits to the main body or 8 hits to a singular thruster. Keep in mind that damage to the thrusters on gunships does not bleed over into any other parts, so you need all your shots to land on just one of the four to get the desired effect. Factory Striders can be killed by the Scorcher, but only shooting the bottom door when it's vulnerable at only class 3 armor for half your explosive damage. Same story with the front guns, which can also be damaged by the Scorcher for just 50 damage per shot. The front guns will take up to 10 hits usually, while the Strider itself can tank up to 90. Basically, don't do this unless you've got no other options. All right, that's it for the automaton. So, how about the Terminids? Worth mentioning that outside of egg based missions, the Scorcher does not feel particularly comfortable to use against bugs, especially when the Plasma Punisher would be a much more desirable primary due to its larger AoE and splash. It definitely shines much brighter out against the automatons, as you'll see with the breakpoints here as well. It misses the mark more often than you would like, and we don't have the ammo economy to sustain here. We get no stagger to keep us safe, and we can accidentally damage ourselves with that explosive AoE relatively easily. All good reasons the Scorcher, while it is effective against the majority of the Terminids, does not feel great to run here. That all being said, let's do the breakpoints just to be thorough. Scavengers and hunters are both taken out in one shot to the head or body. However, the hunter have quite a few little appendages that have a tendency to soak up the ballistic 100 damage, leaving these alive for sometimes as many as 2 hits. Swarms definitely feel a little bit uncomfortable, especially with hunters attempting to get within your personal space pretty rapidly, making firing off the Scorcher a bad idea. Warriors take 2 hits to the head or body, unless one of your shots lands in a limb. So, this one isn't too bad at all, as long as you manage to land your shots. Hive guards are a bit rough overall, but not too bad, taking 5 shots to the front plated head or 4 shots to the body. This is due to the head's class 3 armor deflecting the ballistic damage entirely and only taking 50 damage per hit from the explosion. This results in 5 shots to kill with its 250 HP pool. The body, on the other hand, takes half the ballistic damage and the full 100 explosive damage, resulting in a 4-shot kill due to its body's 500 HP pool. Overall, not the best results, but acceptable. Brood commanders, funny enough, even if you shoot them in the head, will die from the body damage and not the headshots, due to your explosive damage being sent over to the body with its explosive immune head hitbox. This results in a 6-shot kill, generally regardless of where your bullets land, as long as it isn't in the limbs, which isn't great, but it's not that bad either. Nursing Spewers takes 6 hits to the head or 5 hits to the body. This is largely due to the fact that the body of the Nursing Spewer has 90% durability, curving the Scorcher's ballistic damage down to only 55 damage, while all 100 of the explosive damage is applied, resulting in a 5-shot kill on its 750 HP pool. While the head transitions that 100 explosive damage to the body regardless due to being explosive immune, taking half of the damage from the ballistic 100, resulting in a 6-shot kill on its 300 HP pull on the head hitbox. Whew, told you these breakpoints get a little weird. 5 hits when you only have 15 rounds definitely will not feel very comfortable against swarms, but it is acceptable. Bile spewers double down on this trend. The head is basically not worth aiming for, as it deflects all of your ballistic damage, and the Scorcher has decent durable damage with an explosive component. So, headshotting them will take 8 hits, and the body only 5 hits. There is also a mouth hitbox on both of these enemies you can, in theory, kill through in just 3 hits, but due to it being along the lower jawline, this will not often be an option. Compared to most weapons when it comes to the bile spewers, honestly, not terrible, but far from the best results. Stalkers are dangerous for the Scorcher to take on due to closing the gap quickly, endangering you for using its explosive AoE. They're however taken down in just 2 headshots or 6 body shots. Shrieker swarms are not fun to take on with an energy DMR as you would imagine. They can be taken down in just 1 shot to basically anywhere on their body, which is great, but due to their large numbers, it definitely is better to just make sure to destroy these nests from outside their minimum 150-meter spawning distance. Using some class 4 penetration support weapons are better, so that you don't have to deal with these. Chargers end up not being too bad for the Scorcher, all things considered. 8 shots to the rear is enough to take them out due to our high durable damage and explosive damage component. Glitched out leg armor can also result in a theoretical 5-hit kill, but this could be patched out at any moment realistically, so I wouldn't rely on this. Bile Titans are not worth taking on with the Scorcher, as you should expect. While the lower bile sacks can be destroyed in under 10 hits, any kill you can set up will have been more easily done with a relevant support option. Best to leave this one to the big guns or your stratagems. With the specifications, damage, and breakpoints all laid out, how good is the Plasma Scorcher? Well, in my opinion, the Plasma Scorcher continues to maintain the golden standard in Helldivers 2 arsenal, able to function against the Terminid faction while shining brightly in the automatons as a testament to what a balanced weapon should look like. It's very effective against a wide variety of targets, sharing a pool with a Plasma Punisher, which is everything you could ask for in a primary. The lack of stagger, though, and overall decent but not fantastic by our more recent standards damage breakpoints can make it tricky to utilize in difficult engagements, and the ammo economy is far from the best. But that low sound profile, good ergonomics, explosive damage, and high durable damage maintain decent TTKs against even the toughest enemies. However, elevating this weapon to a strong but fair position in my mind. While before the Jar 5 Plasma Punisher and Diligence Counter Sniper buffs, I may have never put the Scorcher down, it now sits as a solid option in my mind that I bring out on occasion. Overall, a weapon able to hold its own with the best against the automatons, and, well, not the worst option for the Terminids, although you can, in my opinion, easily do better. Thanks for watching till the end, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
And now, another helpful tip from General Brash.
Aravin has continued to bring us the best source of information on our gear that R&D seems we have no need for. For this, I am ordering all active Helldivers to like, comment, and subscribe to his channel. Failure to do so will result in your explosive damage making even less sense.
Brash tactics. Use them or die trying.